Three, two, one. Hello and welcome back to ESBR Boxing. Delighted to be joined tonight by my colleague Niall. Niall, you're joining me tonight on the back of an unbelievable performance from Devin Haney against Regis Prograis, and we're here to talk about what's next for Devin Haney. Firstly, how are you? And secondly, just start me off with what did you make of that performance from Devin Haney?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I hope you're well too. Thanks for having me on. I thought he was amazing. Like it was tremendous. I picked him to win. I know a lot of people did, but I don't think we kind of expected it to be as comprehensive as that. He's moved up one weight class against an elite world champion and a puncher, and he's hasn't lost a round. He hasn't hardly been touched. The distance control, the speed. He looks healthier now at 140. It was amazing. It was a real coming of age, star making performance. I thought he was phenomenal. He really was. It blew me away how decisive it was.
Yeah, I think completely fair. I've seen since CompuBox has been a thing, Regis Prograis landed the least amount of punches in a fight they've recorded. I think it was 36 in 12 rounds. That's ridiculous.
Amazing.
But we were saying off camera, Oil, where I mentioned it to yourself, and obviously you agreed that when we talk about what's next, it's a difficult one because the division's a bit of a mess in terms of world champions. Obviously, we listed it. You've got Teofimo, still the WBO in the ring champion. We don't know what he's doing. You've got Matthias with the IBF. And then you've got Rolly Romero with the WBA Super, even though he lost to Tank in the fight before for a WBA regular title, which I believe that one was a lightweight. So it was a bit of a mess of a division in terms of champions. So obviously we wouldn't be able to see all the bouts, but is it the obvious fight you'd want to see next for Devin Haney? Would it be unify with Teofimo for the WBO, the ring, and then would that be sort of the one you'd be looking at next?
Yeah, just on that, you're spot on. It's quite a weird division. Like it went from having the one main man in Josh Taylor who had all the belts and dominating everybody to these, they become fragmented and broken up between quality fighters. Like there is really good fighters, especially Teofimo and Mateus, the IBF champ, who's very underrated, I feel, big puncher. But I think now the fight that makes sense for Devin Haney is Teofimo Lopez. I think Teofimo Lopez, when he beat Josh Taylor, cemented himself as number one in the division. Taylor was number one. I know you have the likes of Jack Catterall, who probably should have beat Josh Taylor beforehand, but I just feel the performance Teofimo put on against the main man in the division makes him number one. So, and Devin Haney kind of cemented himself now as number two. He beat the number two in Prograis. So I think him and Teofimo Lopez is the dream fight for me for the WBA or WBO and WBC. If it wasn't to be Teo, I've no real interest in Rolly Romero, Devin Haney. No offense to Rolly Romero. Mateus would be interesting fight because of the power, but still think Haney has too much from him. And then you've got Tank Davis and Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson, I think, is another dream fight. To be honest, Shakur and Devin Haney would be amazing. And then there's Tank Davis. But to be honest, I might catch a bit of flack for this, but I think Haney spins Tank Davis on his head. To be honest, I can't see Tank Davis getting near Devin Haney. So yeah, to go Teofimo Lopez for me is the one I want to see, or if not, Shakur Stevenson coming up from 135. Two dream fights there for me.
Yeah, I think both shouts are fair. We've barely seen Devin Haney lose a round throughout the majority of his career, to be honest. He's a two-weight world champion already. Do you envisage Devin Haney going up to welterweight at all, or would that be sort of? Do you think he'd be small at the weight? Do you think that's a career move? Is that a bad sort of play? Because obviously you've got Terence Crawford with the majority of the bouts, and then you've got Jaron Boots Ennis, another fantastic fighter at the weight where again they're two credible elite level opponents. Do you see that happening in the future?
I definitely do. I can definitely see him going to welterweight. He reminds me of Floyd, and I think he is going to move up to 147 and do well there. But I don't want to see him going up there yet. I think he has a lot more business to take care of at 140. Against the names that we mentioned, Teofimo Lopez, Tank Davis, Shakur Stevenson. There's so many dream fights there from first before he even considers going up. But he's only 25 years old, he's only still young enough to do it, has the body type to do it, has the structure and the skill set to do it. And down the line, then looking at fights against, you mentioned Terence Crawford or Boots Ennis or even Errol Spence, if that was to come to fruition, would be amazing. So, yeah, I think he definitely has a future at 147 and a successful one, but I don't want to see him go there yet before he has business to handle at 140 first for me.
Obviously, in terms of what's immediately next, obviously we've gone through. It's obviously going to be world title fights. He's 31-0 at 25. He's building up an incredible resume at an early stage of his career. Linares, Gamboa, Diaz Jr., Kambosos, Prograis, Lomachenko. It's as we go on, you're just going to be reeling off a list of top level world class opposition. So now we've looked at sort of the immediate. Bit of a weird question, but do you possibly see Haney being able to go his whole career unbeaten if he chooses to say he wants to retire at the top and doesn't carry on sort of past his sell-by date within the ring? Could you see Devin Haney his next his next few fights? Obviously, he's still going to be against elite level, more world title fights. Do you think he could go his whole career unbeaten?
Absolutely do. Like as I mentioned before, the Floyd comparison, I think he's good enough to do it. He has the skill set. He's fast enough. He's looking spiteful now at 142. He looked quite spiteful in the shots last night. So I think he definitely has the talent to do it. And of the names we mentioned there, say, again, I'm not taking him 147 yet because I don't think he's going up there for a while. So of the names you mentioned, Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson, Mateus, Romero, Hank Davis, I'd pick him to beat all of them, to be honest. I'd favour him in all of those fights if they were to get made. There's one man at 135 or 140 that I haven't mentioned yet that I think has the best chance of beating him. And he also fought last night. I think Andy Cruz and Devin Haney. Andy Cruz probably has the best chance of beating Devin Haney now of those two weight divisions, and he's good enough to do it now. I think Andy Cruz beats everybody else. So God, that'd be a number one dream fight for me as well. If Cruz was to do it, I don't really agree with Eddie Hearn often, but when he says Andy Cruz is ready for anybody now at 135 or 140, I believe him. So yeah, I think Andy Cruz, those two weight divisions before he steps up to welterweight, would have the best chance of beating him. As crazy as that sounds, two professional fights, but I just think Cruz is brilliant. But without turning it into an Andy Cruz kind of appreciation video, I just think if we're looking at who has the best chance of beating him in the kind of immediate future, I think it's Cruz for me.
Again, I can't disagree with anything you're saying there. I do think when we talk about this video and we talk about what's next for Devin Haney, I think it's just everything's just legacy. It's career defining, and he's already at the top, but he's on a path to sitting amongst the greats. And I do agree. I do believe we could be potentially looking at greatness here. It's such a stacked sort of between lightweight through to welterweight. There's so many big fights, so many big names, and it's not even just there's big fights. There's so many money fights in the division as well. So it's not even just that he's going to be going on to be a great. He's going to earn an absolute shit ton of money whilst he's on that route. But Niall, I think it's fair to say we're both Devin Haney fans, and we're both in the camp of what's next for Devin Haney is just greatness. It's legacy. I think
Definitely.
I do agree it should be Teofimo next. But let us know in the comments down below, guys, if you think it should be Teofimo, if you think Devin Haney should skip all these big fights, if he should go up to welterweight and have that pound for pound fight with Terence Crawford. Let us know down below in the comments. Like, subscribe, keep an eye out for all our other content. And Niall, thank you for joining me tonight.
Thank you. Take care.